This week's video, I was reminded of a debate that happened a few years ago between Owen Benjamin and MadeByJimbob, because Owen Benjamin is posting a lot of stuff. He posted a clip of this debate on everywhere, IG and X and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that debate. That was a pretty good, I mean, it was a good debate in learning how two different systems of thinking work, right? Um, it it's two different systems. You got Owen Benjamin. He's pure autonomous ego and flat thinking, right? He's never questioned his epistemology. He's never questioned his worldview. He's never questioned his axiom. He goes off pure intuition and pure emotion. And if it doesn't make sense almost instantly, he thinks it's a trick or a lie or it's not real, right? And I would say that's how most people, modern people, think. It's just a quick boom. If they don't understand it, they won't believe it. And then you go to Jimbob, and Jimbob, he's questioned his axiom. He has his axiom down. He could do metacognition. He could grant the premises of different worldviews, go inside of them, look around, test the logic of different worldviews. He has his epistemology down. He has everything down. He knows how to do presuppositions. He can spot the presupposition in somebody's premises and worldviews. And to see these two people go at it, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy because Owen just doesn't get it at all, and just he did so bad on this debate. It was so bad, and Jim Bob did very well. And to give you a background of it, I was a fan of Owen during this time. Uh, Him and Jim Bob were friends, right? During this time is before COVID and then after COVID. Owen Benjamin got pretty big in the streaming world and in the conspiracy world because he started questioning, I forget, like people in Hollywood, and they banned him from Hollywood, and he was kind of a outcast, and people liked him because he was just daring to say things that nobody would say, right? It was refreshing to see somebody say the things that you know you want to say or that you're thinking about out loud. And he gained some good following doing this. And then COVID hit, and then that's when he really kind of went into fifth gear with his following. Even Jim Bob was uh, drawn to him, right? Because during COVID, he was nonstop, just going crazy, calling it what it was, right? And he drew my attention too. I was like, oh, he's funny. He was a like a real comic. He was in Hollywood. He was in shows and I don't know, movies or something. But he was good at rhetoric and talking crap and being fearless, taking on a lot of people. That like Steven Crowder or Joe Rogan, he would take them on, and he was funny about it, and it was fearless, and it was very entertaining, right? But then he started, oh, and not only that, but he went into the flat Earth thing, and it was fun to watch the spiral, right? It was fun to watch him lose his mind, right? It was like entertaining as hell for me. It was, and for like a lot of other people. But then he went into the Trinity, and he couldn't get it. He just could not understand it at all. And he would go on tirades and rants about it for hours, and it was getting so exhausting and so sickening and so terrible. It was like, oh my God, what happened? Like, it was just so bad. It was so bad that some people did an intervention on him. E. Michael Jones and I forget the other guys' names. They did some intervention, and it was horrible. It was a terrible intervention, and it didn't work. So people were like asking Jim Bob because they were friends. Jim Bob, when are you gonna do something about this? This is so bad. Like, he's basically becoming a Muslim or something like that. Like it was getting weird. Um, and Jimbob held off a long time uh, doing it, but it got to a point where he kind of had to step in because Owen Benjamin was making a fool of himself over and over and over again. He just every day would talk about it, and like I had to stop listening to him. Like, man, this is terrible. And I found Jimbob through him, right? So I was like, oh, I like Jimbob too, so I'll be listening to Jimbob too. And during this arc in Jimbob's life, he hooked up with Andrew Wilson and Jay Dyer, and you could see Jimbob's just style change and his mental abilities just get way stronger, way faster because he understood now presuppositionalism, he understood logic, he understood worldviews, and he was just on another level. And I remember thinking, man, I want to think like that because I didn't know what that stuff was either. He opened the door for me for that too. And I was like, okay, finally, Jim Bob's gonna hopefully set him straight, hopefully talk some sense to him. And it was a disaster, right? During the interview, during the debate, it got weird, it got heated, but it ended like they were friendly and everything. And then right after it ended, Owen Benjamin went completely on the scorched earth warpath. I think he realized that he did so bad, he looked so dumb, that he got super angry, had a narcissistic ego crash or something, and he's still going after them. He's still going after Andrew Wilson and Jay Dyer and Made by Jim Bob. Like he constantly posts about them still to this very day. This was years ago. It's pretty crazy to see. And what I wanted to break down kind of or talk about was the two ways of thinking, the two ways of reasoning that are that is shown demonstrated in this debate. Right? It's Owen Benjamin can't do an internal critique. Right? I think we naturally do internal critiques, but most people don't do them correctly, right? You're supposed to go into the other person's worldview, grant all their premises, and like metacognition, be able to put your worldview aside for a minute and then go into another person's worldview and look at the axioms, look at the logic, test the structures, and then take it apart from the inside, right? That's what an internal critique is. Owen Benjamin keeps kind of trying to do that, but he can't let go of his own worldview. It's so bad where Jim Bob has to tell him, hey, in order to do an internal critique, you have to grant the Trinity, grant the premises. This is about the Trinity, this debate. You have to take take on our worldview. And Owen Benjamin is like, but I don't believe it though. And that was when you knew like, okay, this is getting bad. Like he just doesn't see what's going on, right? And Owen Benjamin was always like, I'm super smart, I'm a genius, I could play piano by ear, or Mozart by ear, or something like that. And yeah, okay, yeah, we're not, but this thinking, this reasoning, there's a system to it. You have to be able to do metacognition. You have to be able to assume somebody's worldview and check your ego at the door, right, to do this. And Owen Benjamin could not do this. It was wild. It's crazy to see it now when you look back and you're like, whoa, man, this was bad. And Jim Bob tries to patiently explain it to him, and he just keeps going and going and going, saying, well, who's Jesus praying to? And they're like, you have to assume our worldview and take it apart from the inside. Like he keeps asking who Jesus is praying to, but with his Unitarian framework, and he just doesn't understand. And Andrew Wilson was a moderator, and he was doing great. He was being really nice to him, like way nice to Owen Benjamin. Like he was very charitable, overly charitable too. And Owen Benjamin was pretty getting loud, getting kind of mean. Uh, he was not doing well, and Andrew Wilson was still very nice to him. Yeah, but um when it ended, they ended as friends. That's the crazy part. It ended friendly. But yeah, this is what it looks like when you debate most people on things. Or this is what I've noticed too when you see their people's reasoning. They've never ever thought about their own axiom. They kind of start right here in the middle, and then they just assume that their own mind can decipher reality and truth and uh, epistemology. They never follow the logic where it leads them. They never do formal logic. They never do first principles logic. They never do that. And that's what this shows, that Owen Benjamin opens up the Bible, reads something, and interprets it through his own framework, and never questions his own framework. He doesn't have no epistemic justification of any kind. It's just, if it doesn't make sense, it's not true. That is pretty insane when you start to question those things and you realize, wait a minute, like, this is philosophy, this is like ontology, this is presupposition, this is formal logic, this is axioms. Like, you start like, whoa, there's a lot of stuff to this. There's logic trees, there's worldviews, there's so many things to take an account for and to work through and to look at and to run the formal logic on, and to, you know what I mean? There's so many things when it comes to these big topics like the Trinity, the Bible, worldviews. And to see Owen Benjamin is like to see most people. Most people. This is how most people are living. This is how most people are reasoning throughout the day. They don't think about these things. They don't think about the things like, how do they know what they know, and how do they know what they know is true. They never do that. And to see him go up against Jimbob, somebody who knows how to do that stuff, somebody who's thought about those things, somebody who's worked out the logic in their mind, somebody who's has metacognition, they could think about their thinking, they could do formal logic on their own thinking while they're thinking, right? And Owen Benjamin, it appears that he simply cannot do it, because even to this very day, he still goes after these people like with a vengeance still. And that's just what I wanted to point out this week. Is if you want to see, I suggest you watch the video, watch their debate, uh, like at least the first hour or so of it, because it's a definitely like case study in epistemology, don't have it, how people use it, and how people don't even have a clue of what it is. And it's a good case study on how most modern people never think about the formal logic of their axiom or their first principles logic of their axiom. They just never do it. So when you question it to them, they don't even understand what you're doing. They don't even understand what you're saying. And it's just, it was like mind blowing to see now, because I wanted to be able to do that, and now I can. Right? It took years and years of trying to do it, because it's a lot of concepts. I would never go up against Jimbob, like, like, dude, are you crazy? Or Andrew Wilson or Jay Dyer. Like, those guys know what the hell they're talking about, right? Where, as in Owen Benjamin, is just going off pure intuitive ego. It's it's just wild. And Jim Bob went into his worldview, and then he questioned the single God, the like a monad, or the God of, like, if he is alone eternally forever, and then he can't be the standard of love, right? But he goes into the problem of the one and the many. He goes into all these problems that are problems in the Unitarian in the Unitarianism worldview. And Owen Benjamin never even thought about those. He's never even, like, what? He doesn't even understand what Jimbo was saying. He never thought about it, right? He's just here in the now. He looks at something and he has a small radius of where to move to. But if you want to get worldviews down, if you want to get axioms down, if you want to understand how these things actually work, you have to take it to the beginning. You have to take it to the foundation. You have to take it to the axiom. Okay, we're at the one. We're at the one God. Now let's move the equation forward. Let's start doing the logic. If there's only one God and He's eternal and there's no creation yet, what is He doing? Is He loving Himself? If He's loving Himself, then where do we get the act of love, the action of love? How is it interpersonal in the here and the now? Right? That's a problem. That's why the Trinity solves that problem. And then the problem of the one and the many. Right? One of the old philosophical problems of all time. How is there uh, unity and diversity in the world? Right? How? Because if God was one, that would be we would have a whole different system than we have now. But we have this system, so you have to work it backwards, right? And this is what the Trinity does. It solves all these philosophical problems. And Owen Benjamin never even thought about that. Never. I did kind of think maybe they went at it a little bit wrong, using all this logic, and reasoning. Right? It sounds kind of funny saying that. Maybe they should have went at it as a biblical narrative way. Maybe I think that would kind of help the modern person that doesn't have any logical training, philosophical training, any metacognition. They might have went at it a different way, but oh well. As in, like, tell them the story of it, right? Why he's a Trinity, why it works in the narrative, right? But then that would have to go into theology, and Owen Benjamin probably would have fought that too. But it probably would have helped more. But I'm glad that it happened the way it happened, because then Owen Benjamin's reaction made me shut off Owen Benjamin for, that was it. I was like, yeah, he went ape crazy. He went ape shit, dude. So I turned it off. I turned him off, and I focused more on Jimbob, and then Jimbob took me to Jay Dyer and Andrew Wilson, and now it's just mainly Jimbob and Jay Dyer that I listen to, because Andrew Wilson, I'm not into politics. I'm not into, like, he had this big debate with Candace Owens. I don't give a crap about that topic at all whatsoever. Like, I don't even care. I could care less about that topic they just had their big debate on. I don't even want to watch it. I tried watching it and I was bored to death. I'm like, this is so stupid. This is so dumb. Right? Let's go back to worldviews, philosophy, evolution, nihilism, presuppositionalism. That's what blows my hair back. Right? I don't give a shit about politics and who shot Charlie Kirk, and was it Israel, and was it uh, whatever rifle was it that I don't even know their name. I don't care. I feel bad for Charlie Kirk. That was terrible what happened. We ain't never gonna know if there's a conspiracy. We ain't never gonna know. How the hell are we gonna find out? Like, who even cares anymore? Poor guy. We can never know for sure, so I don't care. Right? That's basically where I'm at. There's no 100% chance that we will find out the truth if there was a conspiracy to begin with, which there probably is somewhere in there, and we ain't never gonna know. So I don't give a shit. That's how I look at it. I'd rather go back and look at Jimbob versus Owen Benjamin. If you like this kind of stuff, keep watching. Check out their debate, and watch Owen Benjamin completely burn his own worldview down while trying to defend it. While trying to burn another worldview down, he completely makes himself look stupid. And you can study that and see that that's how most people are operating. That's how most people are reasoning today. Uh, yeah, go ahead and check it out. Thanks for watching.
if you're doing an internal critique of the Trinity, you have to do it from the perspective that God is three persons, one essence.
I have not accepted that.
Exactly. So therefore, you're not doing an internal critique anymore.
Right, because I believe it's wrong.
From your...
Is Nicodemus God? Is
you believe it's wrong? You believe it's wrong?
Are there?
Owen, that's all I'm saying is you believe it's wrong because you have a framework that you start with.
I have a framework that I start with that is not accepting God is three.
I'm saying it's
that
not...
doesn't make any sense.
It's okay. Well, there's no longer internal anymore, though.
So it's not internal, it's external.
No, you're critiquing from an external position.
How do I critique from an internal perspective?
So what you would do is you would assume our worldview for a second, and then point out inside our worldview why you think things are wrong.
Oh, how dare you? Okay, I'm there. Tell me what to do.
Well, that's the difference between an internal and external critique. Is like you would assume our worldview. Like